Here's the story on how I acquired my rig truck. Okay, and the reason I say acquired is because this was not your typical, go to the dealership, go drop $100,000 loan and all this and that, and the tires and all that sort of stuff. All that stuff came way after. But I will say that I purchased this truck exactly how you see it, minus the tires, for $20,000 cash. Okay, and this is an incredible story. I look forward to sharing it with you guys, and it went a little something like this. So I'm real big on not going to dealerships. I think that dealerships are in the best interest of the people that own the dealerships and that sort of thing. But as it pertains to rig welding and just buying trucks in general, there are very, very smart strategies and ways that you can go about doing this. One of them is buying used, right? Facebook Marketplace, right? And if you don't have all the money in cash right then and there to buy whatever truck you want, the credit union does. Okay, so leverage these credit unions. Go speak, go build a relationship with a credit union, go open an account, see what their auto interest rates are and that sort of thing. But let me tell you the story about my truck. Okay, so I'll just start off by saying this. It is a 2017 Chevy 3500 HD. When I purchased it or found it, it had 103,000 miles on it. Okay, it had the weld bed, it had the Lincoln Vantage with 5,000 hours. It did not have these tires. Okay, these came later on, and it's actually, I got a strategy on how you can get wheels and tires for a really good deal as well. But 2017 Chevy 3500 HD with 100,000 miles on it, with the bed, with the Lincoln Vantage, and I purchased it for $20,000 cash. And here's how I did it. I was working in the shop. I was looking on Facebook Marketplace. I was scouring. I wanted to find a really good deal on a truck, and I was going to eventually, slowly build it out to be a rig truck, right? So I was looking for, diesels, right? Dualies. I saw everything within 250 miles of Houston. Okay, I saw every truck for sale. I was on here like every hour, just refreshing and looking, right? So after about 2 weeks of looking, I refreshed and refreshed. This thing popped up. Okay, just listed 2 minutes ago. 2017 Chevy 3500 HD with 103,000 miles on it, with the truck, with the bed, with the Lincoln Vantage, $20,000 cash. So I blew it up. I messaged the guy, hey, I'm Kenny Stewart. I'm interested in buying this truck. Get back with me. I sent about 2 or 3 messages, no response. Well, here's the thing. When you want something bad enough, I talk about how bad do you want it all the time. So I didn't just stop there and wait for a response. No, I went to this man's personal profile. Okay, I started looking for a phone number. I messaged him there, right? I found his wife. I started digging through his wife's account. His wife had a small business. That business had a phone number. And I know about small businesses. That was that woman's personal phone number. So I gave her a call. I said, I called. She answered. She said, hi, this is Linda. I said, hi, Miss Linda. Is Mr. Mike with you? I see your husband he posted a truck for sale on Marketplace. Are you buying him? She goes, yeah, I'm with him. I said, would you put him on the phone? And she was kind of like, sure. Mac, what? You got someone who wants to talk to you. She handed him the phone. I said, hi, Mr. Mike. My name's Kenny Stewart. I said, I'm a welder in Houston. I said, I see that you just listed your rig truck for sale. I'd like to buy it from you. He goes, oh, yeah, well, I haven't even looked at the listing. And he pulled it up and he said, man, I got a lot of messages. It's been posted for an hour. I said, Mr. Mike, I'll do you and I both a favor. Don't open a single one of those messages. I said, I'll be at your house tomorrow with $20,000 cash. I'm not going to pull your leg. I'm not going to jack with you about financing, none of that. Okay, I'll be there tomorrow. Okay, well, all right. And he gave me his address. I took off of work the next day because I was sick, okay? Sick and tired of being a single-hand welder. And I drove to Schulenburg, Texas, and bought this truck from Mr. Mike. And it's a funny story because I drove up there with $20,000 cash and a gun because someone was getting robbed. Either I was robbing him of this smoking hot deal, or he was going to rob me because this was a fake listing because it was too good to be true, and he was going to rob me for my $20,000 cash. Well, long story short, I get there to his house in Schulenburg. This bad beach was parked up underneath his carport. It was collecting dust. Okay, I asked him a little bit about his story. He was a structural welder, never lay a pipe welder. He said he used this thing to build a couple, steel buildings and that sort of thing. And I was like, all right, cool. He goes, what are you going to be using it for? I said, I don't even know yet, but I know that I'm going to be using it. He goes, all right, sounds good. And I went and took it for a test drive. It had a check engine light. I brought my scanner with me. The only code that it had was a glow plug. Glow plugs are cheap, okay? So that was good there. I test drove it. Everything drove good. And it came time to fire up the machine, right? So I asked him a little bit about the machine. I said, what is the Vantage 300? He told me it was a diesel machine. It's a great machine. He said, I said, let's fire it up. He goes, oh, well, here's the thing. It needs a battery, okay? We can't start it right now without a battery. And I'm thinking, okay, here's where this deal is a little too good to be true. okay? The machine doesn't work. That's why, you know, it needs a battery. We can't start it, whatever. Well, I said, you know what? Even alone, the truck alone on Kelly Blue booked for like $27,000, okay? And that's without the big ass 3/8 plate steel bed with the Lincoln Vantage. And I was like, you know what? Sure enough, clean title, got the title from him, gave him my $20,000. I almost wanted to give him a kiss because this deal was so sweet. And I drove all the way home. First thing I did was go to O'Reilly's to get a battery for this machine. Lo and behold, I put the new battery in, I flicked it on, I hit the glow plugs, it fired right up, right? So Mr. Mike wasn't lying. All it needed was a battery. So basically, long story short is I want to give you guys, and then let me say this too, when it came to getting work for it, I owned this truck for 4 months before I found a really good opportunity with it. Even with my network, even with my tools and my skill set and my knowledge, rig welding work is not something you find on LinkedIn or Indeed or ZipRecruiter or Build Submarines or Boom Nation or Road Dogs. Okay, it quite literally is, you know, who you know, it's who you know, right? Especially with rig welding. Not all the time, but in most cases. So I wanted to tell you the story about how I got a hold of this truck, didn't finance it. I got into the rig welding world with $20,000 cash. Had I not been smart with my money and known what I was doing and know all the things that I preach inside the Wealthy Welders Club, I wouldn't have been able to purchase this truck like this. Okay, so it comes down to luck a little bit, right? I always say, like, luck is not very lucky at all. Luck is the product of how many times you show up, right? Your dedication, your consistency, you know, just showing up, right? It's being lucky is not very lucky at all. And I had a Wealthy Welders Club member, Mr. Andy, give me a really good piece of advice. He said, I think it was luck, but the reason why you were able to actually receive the luck is because you showed up on your luckiest day. And that's what I talk about, is showing up. So I didn't leverage, you know, I didn't go get torn up by the bank to get into this truck. I basically just showed up on my luckiest day, and I was smart and intentional about the way that I invested my money and managed my money, and I was able to show up to Mr. Mike's house with $20,000 cash and get this truck, okay? So this quite literally was a blessing. I like to share my story and be completely honest with you. I didn't go buy this from a dealership. I didn't build that bed. I didn't buy that machine and set it, okay? It all came together. But I put all the work in beforehand to whenever I was actually able to get this truck, I was actually able to do something with it, okay? Oh, and when it comes to the wheels and tires, I want to say that I had some stock ugly wheels and tires on this truck for almost a year. No, more than a year. I had some ugly stock tires on this truck for over a year, okay? They did the job. They got the job done. I don't know if you guys have seen the video of my wheels falling off on the freeway, but that totally happened. Essentially what happened with the reason why I ended up going with some wheels and tires is because I went to the Coshada Casino. I am not going to lie to you, okay? I hit very well at the Coshada, and I decided, you know what? I got a little extra walking around money. I might as well invest on some shoes for my rig truck here. And it's funny because the day I showed up to work with him, I had an operator come up to me and goes, "What'd you rob a bank?" I said, "No, I robbed the Coshada Casino," and they bought my wheels and tires. These were not cheap, although I did get a very good deal on them. Shout out to OSO, Off-Road Wheels and Tires in Pearland, Texas. He totally hooked it up. I got this whole set for less than $4,000, okay? And that's 6 wheels and tires, okay? Pretty good deal. But moving on. So let this be a lesson and a story for you guys to know that, you know, you don't have to go get torn up by the bank. There's a lot of different ways to get into this industry, but at the end of the day, your tools, okay, your knowledge, your network are more important than having this truck, okay? So once you have those things, then you go get in this truck, and you don't have to go to the dealership to get it, okay? So that's my story. That's how I acquired my rig truck. For all of you who are wondering and have, you know, wondered about that story, I'm completely honest about it, and I have no shame, nothing to hide. There's nothing wrong with buying a truck completely built, okay? It saved me a lot of time, okay? And it's made me a lot of money too. So that's how I got a hold of my rig truck, believe it or not.